This is the biggest thing that online retirement calculators get incorrect. And if they get this wrong, then that means the output's wrong. And if the output is wrong, then you can't trust. You could be making a poor retirement decision based on bad information. What is that? It's how much it's projecting, how much you're going to spend in retirement. I've got the step-by-step way you can lay this out to ensure that you can trust your retirement planning and projections. I've got that and more coming up. There are 5 factors that are all interrelated and all need to be considered when you are building out a retirement plan that can lead you to confidence, right? To determine, well, am I on track for a successful retirement? These are 5 variables or choices. Yes, you get to choose each of them, but sometimes your options are limited. But they are interrelated, meaning you make a decision in one area, it's going to impact your options, your choices in the other. What are those? Your age, when do you want to be done working? Okay, and then also the other end of the spectrum, what's your life expectancy? So basically, how long is retirement going to last? Your retirement spending, your retirement income sources, how are you going to optimize Social Security? Will you have a pension? What are your other income sources? How much do you have saved up for retirement? How much are you saving every year during your working career? And then how much investment risk are you comfortable taking with those investments? Very little risk, you're going to have very little return potential. Too much risk, you might have too much volatility. So what is your risk? What's your risk tolerance? Those are the 5 factors. And again, they're interrelated. You need to build that out working with your certified financial planner and then using the right statistical analysis and Monte Carlo analysis to determine, well, of those 5 factors, of those 5 variables in your situation, let's stress test them and see if you are on track for a confident retirement. And if you're not, you manage the trade-offs, which means, well, what if you make a little adjustment in any one of these 5s? What does that do to the outcome? And then on an ongoing basis, are you on track? Are you on track? Are you on track? If you haven't done that 5-factor work, with your certified financial planner, you can go to wisemoneyguides.com. You can download our guide to workbook that helps you think through those 5 factors for you, lay out some of your options. It will get you ready for your upcoming meeting with your CFP. We're going to lay that out and do that stress testing. Now, of those 5 factors, they're all critically important, but we've debated this here within the offices of KFG, and it's kind of fun. And but if there's one that is most important, it's retirement spending, guys. It's retirement spending. And I mean this. If there's one that online retirement calculators or typical financial advisors just gloss over and don't even really review, it's retirement spending. It's the most important one. Most financial advisors, I'm not even going to call them financial planners. These are folks that help you with investments. And oh, by the way, we'll do a retirement analysis for you. Or you go online, you do a retirement analysis. They gloss over the most important one. They don't go through the right process to ensure that you've got the right target for retirement spending. This, again, like I said, can lead you to a false conclusion. It could tell you that analysis, no, you're off track. You need to make some changes, when in fact you're very much on track. Or it could say, no, you're right on track, when in fact you are heading towards a retirement that is not sustainable and is not going to work. How do you plan out your retirement expenses so that when you input that into your retirement plan, your retirement projection, you are confident, yep, I've got everything covered, I'm planning for it appropriately, and therefore I can trust the output and the outcome. Here's the right step-by-step approach to take. First, what is your base monthly expenses? What are your base monthly expenses? This is, if you're following our 3 bank account system, this is bank account number 1 and bank account number 2. So your regular monthly expenses, all of your fixed monthly expenses, all of your variable monthly expenses. These are expenses that come up every single month, but also bucket number 2, which is how much do you need to be saving on a monthly basis for the known non-monthly expenses. Not every expense that you're going to have both now during your career, but also in retirement is going to be an every single month expense. Sometimes it's vacations that come around a couple times a year. Sometimes it's Christmas expenses and insurance expenses only a few times a year. Car repairs only a few times a year. You need to take a look and what's your base monthly expenses that includes both your monthly expenses and your monthly savings for non-monthly expenses. I know that can sound a little bit wordy. How I typically ask people when I start explaining this and they start, like, what do you mean? No. How much? Just set everything else aside. If you had no money in your checking account, how much would I need to deposit on the 1st for you to make it to the 31st without any worries and without any concerns? And that usually is like, okay, well, now that's palatable. And so if that's your base monthly expenses, that's your base monthly number. And that's the number that you need to start with. If you say, I actually, the finances are not my thing, I don't know if I could give you a good estimate of that number. Well, then we roll up our sleeves and we do a little bit of work. And from there, we take a look at, all right, I want to see your take home monthly income from your paychecks. And then I want to take a look at an annualized level to see, well, do you have extra savings, or are you depleting some savings and that sort of thing. But typically your base monthly expenses, how much income needs to be deposited in the checking account on the 1st for you to make it to the 31st with no problem. If within that number you have long-term debt, like a mortgage, you want to break that out separate. So if you look and say, well, yeah, that number is probably $7,000, but I've got a $2,000 mortgage, then you're going to say my base monthly expenses are $5,000 and my long-term debt is $2,000. Okay. And I'll explain why that's going to be critical here in just a minute. So that's step one. What's your base monthly expenses? Second, you then add a category for health insurance in retirement. And most online calculators and most financial advisors get this wrong. They do not plan for this, okay? This is going to be one of your biggest expenses in retirement is your health insurance. But the other reason why this needs to be separated out is because if you're basing your retirement expenses on just your take-home pay, or a lot of online calculators will say, 75% of your pre-retirement income because that's your take-home pay or whatever, you're not paying for your health insurance. Most people are not paying for their health insurance out of their take-home pay. It comes right out of their paycheck. Their employer is helping to pay some, the rest of it's coming right out of their paycheck, and they live on what's left. And if that's what you're basing your retirement expenses, your retirement spending on, you are overlooking, you're not even factoring in one of the biggest expenses in retirement. So you need to lay out, step two, you need to list out your health insurance expense in retirement. And if you say, how in the world can anyone guess that? It's not guessing, it's planning. Right now, we know what is, Part A for most people is at no cost. Part B, we know that costs $202. If you're doing original Medicare, it's Part A, Part B. Part D, typically $25 to $30, and then a supplement, maybe $175. You can ballpark that and come up with that number per person and build that in. We typically, whether you're going to take original Medicare, traditional Medicare, or Medicare Advantage, we typically in our retirement forecast project that you're going to use and go on traditional Medicare because that's a higher premium amount. If you go with Medicare Advantage, that's a lower premium amount, but there's more copays, there's more out-of-pocket expenses. And so we basically, by planning for original Medicare, we've already sort of planned for that in there. So you've got to set that aside separately, and I'll explain why here in just a minute. Third, you then need to add in any unique one-time expenses. Add in any unique one-time expenses. These are things like, well, we normally do some vacations, but you know what? When we retire, we want to do for the first couple of years an around the world trip or a full family vacation where we're going to, pull out all these stops and we're going to, do a big event, something like that. You're going to want to build that in separately. Or, in retirement, that's when I plan to get the sports car. In retirement, we're going to the first 10 years, we're going to spend extra, by renting a place down in Florida or something like that. You're going to want to bake in those abnormal expenses as separate line items as well. Maybe you've got a child that you want to plan for wedding expenses. You haven't set money aside for that yet. You want to bake that in, something like that. Third step, add in unique one-time expenses. Many people won't have any because they're unique one-time expenses. They've already planned for that in bank account number 1 and number 2. That's your basic spending, your base spending. But if you have any unique one-time expenses, that's step 3. Step 4, taxes. And this is another one where online calculators or financial advisors that are helping you with investments, and then we'll throw in this free retirement analysis. They don't account for this either. Taxes will be your biggest expense in retirement. It just will, unless you've been proactively planning for it, then you can get around it and you can minimize it. But if you haven't been, it will be your biggest expense in retirement, likely bigger than health insurance. If it's not baked in to part of your retirement spending, then you're not factoring in that drag, that actual real drag on your retirement savings that will significantly impact your plan. How do you do that? Well, that's where software is going to be important. We used to do this all by spreadsheets by hand. I loved it. Actually, no one else did. But yeah, typically you're going to want to use some retirement tools and calculators that, based on your inputs for your other expenses, it can automatically update. Well, how much taxes should we expect that you'd be spending each year, and so on. So now you've got your base monthly expenses, and you've stripped out long-term debt. You've got your health insurance in retirement. You've got unique one-time expenses, and you've got taxes. So the final step, the fifth step, is you add an appropriate inflation factor to each of those numbers. And here's why it's important to break those out the way that I did. Apply a normal inflation adjustment to your base expenses. Apply no inflation adjustment to your long-term debt, right? That's one of the benefits of it, if you will. Apply a higher than normal, typically double your normal long-term inflation projection on the health insurance, your health insurance in retirement. That's just averages. I did some videos on that recently. And then apply a normal inflation adjustment on your unique one-time expenses and taxes. So last, step 5 is you're going to want to add the appropriate inflation adjustment on top of each of those numbers. That's the step-by-step approach to take the most important of the 5 factors and make sure that your retirement plan is accurate, and therefore you can trust the output and plan around it. Most people get this wrong. It's too important. It's too critical. You can't get this wrong. You can't gloss over it, and you can't make an errant assumption. Go through this analysis. And again, if it's not something that interests you or you're excited about, you can tell I'm excited about it. All of our team of certified financial planners are. We want you to get this right. We want you to have a successful and confident retirement. And that comes from building the right plan and doing the right planning process all along the way. So work with your certified financial planner on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.